You think you know someone so well, someone you've shared everything with since you were little girls, someone you trusted with your deepest secrets and biggest dreams. You think you know them until they do something so unbelievably cold, so utterly shameless, that it shatters your entire world into a million tiny, jagged pieces. Something that makes your stomach drop and your jaw clench, leaving you gasping for air in a room that suddenly feels too small. That's what happened to me, and trust me, you won't believe what I'm about to tell you. It's a story of betrayal, heartbreak, and a kind of audacity that will make your blood boil. It started with a text message, innocent enough on the surface, but carrying a hidden dagger I didn't see coming. My maid of honor, my supposed best friend since kindergarten, the person I thought would stand by me through thick and thin, especially on the most important day of my life, decided to drop out of my wedding. Not with a polite apology, not with a tearful explanation, but with a few curt words that sliced through me like ice. She called my entire wedding tacky, a word that still rings in my ears, echoing with judgment and disgust. Tacky. My wedding. The day I had dreamed about since I was a little girl. The day I had poured my heart and soul, and every spare penny into. The floral arrangements I had spent months choosing, the rustic barn venue that felt like a fairy tale, the handmade invitations that were a labor of love. All of it, in her eyes, was tacky. It wasn't just a criticism of my choices. It was a personal attack, a dismissive wave of her hand over something that meant the world to me. It felt like she was spitting on my happiness. I remember staring at my phone, the words blurring, a cold knot forming in my stomach. My fiancé, Ben, walked in just then, saw my face, and knew something was terribly wrong. He put his arm around me, but even his comforting presence couldn't warm the sudden chill that had spread through my bones. How could someone I loved so deeply, someone who was supposed to be my ride or die, be so cruel? It was a question that haunted me, a mystery that felt heavier than any wedding stress. But that, my friends, was just the beginning. The tacky text was merely the appetizer to a main course of unbelievable gall. What came next, what she had the sheer nerve to do after ripping my heart out and stomping on it, is something I still struggle to comprehend. It's the kind of move that makes you question everything you thought you knew about human decency, about friendship, about basic respect. You might want to grab a tissue because this story is going to hit you right in the feels. This is my story, the story of Joyce Thomas. I'm 32 years old, and up until that moment, I thought I had a pretty good handle on life. I'm a high school art teacher in a small town in upstate New York, someone who finds beauty in the everyday and tries to bring a little extra sparkle into the world. I love painting, baking excessively complicated cakes, and binge-watching true crime documentaries with my 2 rescue cats, Pumpkin and Spice. I believed in loyalty, in kindness, and in the idea that some friendships were meant to last forever. My parents, bless their hearts, are the salt of the earth. My dad, a retired mechanic, and my mom, who still volunteers at the local library, taught me the value of hard work and the importance of family. They also taught me to always stand up for myself, even when it's scary. Little did I know I was about to need every ounce of that lesson. I grew up in a cozy little house surrounded by love, and never once imagined I'd experience a betrayal this deep, this public. My life was pretty ordinary, full of small joys and predictable routines, until the wedding planning started, and with it, the cracks in a friendship I thought was unbreakable began to show. You see, my maid of honor, Clara Jenkins, had always been a little extra. More glamorous, more critical, always pushing for the next big thing. I always saw it as part of her charm, a fiery spirit that balanced my more laid-back nature. But now it felt like a fuse about to blow. I was planning a beautiful, intimate wedding, nothing over the top, just a celebration of love with our closest friends and family. A barn, string lights, homemade pies instead of a fancy cake. It was our dream, Ben's and mine. But for Clara, it wasn't enough. It wasn't up to her standards. She made snide comments, rolled her eyes at my ideas, and generally made me feel like my happiness wasn't good enough. It was exhausting, but I pushed through, reminding myself that she was my friend and she'd come around. Oh, how wrong I was. The tacky text was just the first domino. What followed was a level of audacity that will truly shock you. A move so brazen, so self-serving, that it will make your jaw drop. You might even want to pause right here and let this sink in because the next part of this story is going to twist your gut. It's a revelation that will make you wonder, just like I did, if you ever truly know the people you hold closest to your heart. I promise you, if you stick with me through this entire story, you'll not only hear about the most unbelievable act of betrayal, but you'll also see how I found my strength, my voice, and ultimately my revenge. It's a journey of pain, anger, and finally, a triumph that was sweeter than any wedding cake. So please, if you're watching, do me a huge favor. Take a second, hit that subscribe button because trust me, you don't want to miss a single chapter of this wild ride. It would mean the world to me, truly. Also, tell me where you're watching from in the comments below. If you do, I believe something truly wonderful and unexpected is going to happen to you and your family this week. Trust me on this. So, after calling my wedding tacky and dropping out as maid of honor, what could possibly be worse? What could possibly push a heartbroken bride, just weeks away from her wedding, to the absolute brink? Well, dear viewers, what came next was a text message so utterly, shockingly devoid of self-awareness and basic human decency, that it will make you gasp. You will not believe the sheer audacity, the unbelievable nerve, that a supposed friend could possess. Get ready, because this is where the story takes a truly shocking turn. I was still staring at my phone, my thumb hovering over Clara's name, my heart feeling like a broken toy. Ben was trying to talk to me, saying, "Joyce, honey, she's not worth it. We don't need her." But I couldn't hear him. All I could hear was that one word, tacky, playing over and over in my head. And just when I thought the hurt couldn't get any deeper, my phone buzzed again. It wasn't a text. It wasn't a call. It was a notification from an app one used every day to split dinner with friends or pay for gas. It was a notification from Venmo. My blood ran cold. Colder than it had just seconds before. I tapped on the little blue icon, my hand shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. And there it was. Request for money. From Clara Jenkins. For $580.42. My mind just couldn't understand what I was seeing. It was like my brain had stopped working. She had just blown up our 20-year friendship, called my entire future tacky, and dropped out of my wedding. And now she was asking me for money? What in the world was this $580.42 for? I clicked on the request, and the note, the little memo line at the bottom, appeared. It wasn't for the bridesmaid dress I had already paid for. It wasn't for her flight, which she had booked on her own points. Well, the note was just 6 words. 6 words that felt like a slap in the face. For my time and energy wasted. I read it once. I read it twice. My time and energy wasted. All the hours we spent looking at flowers, the cake tasting she complained about, the one bridal shower she actually showed up for. She was billing me for it. Like a lawyer. Like a stranger. You have to understand, Clara and I weren't just friends. We were Joyce and Clara. We met in first grade, sharing a box of crayons. We learned to ride bikes together. When my first boyfriend broke my heart in high school, she was the one who showed up at my window with a tub of ice cream and a terrible, terrible plan to egg his car. We promised we'd be each other's maids of honor before we even knew what marriage really meant. She was the sister I never had. Or so I thought. I flashed back to 6 months ago, right after Ben proposed. I was so excited I bought a bottle of champagne and a little gift box. Inside was a bracelet and a card that said, "He popped the question. Now it's my turn. Will you be my maid of honor?" When I gave it to her, she screamed and hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would break. She cried, I cried. It was perfect. But now, looking back, I remember the first thing she said after she wiped her tears. "Oh my God, Joyce. What's the budget? We have to go big." I should have seen it then. I really should have. I laughed it off, telling her, "We're going for cozy, not big." Her smile tightened just a little, but she quickly covered it up. "Oh right. Cozy. Cute." From that day on, every choice I made was met with a little bit of a side-eye. When I showed her the picture of the beautiful rustic barn I had booked, she frowned. "A barn, Joy? Like, with animals? Isn't that a little, I don't know, dirty?" She kept sending me pictures of fancy hotel ballrooms in the city, Places that cost more than my entire teaching salary. Then came the bachelorette party. I wanted a simple, fun weekend. Cabin in the mountains, hiking, board games, and maybe a little too much wine. Clara wanted Las Vegas. She pitched it to the other bridesmaids, talking about clubs and bottle service, and dresses I could never afford. When I gently said no, that it just wasn't me, she pouted for a week. She ended up coming to the cabin, but she spent the entire weekend on her phone, complaining that there was no decent Wi-Fi and that the air smelled like trees. But the real fight, the one that started this whole mess, was about the bridesmaid dresses. I had found these beautiful, simple sage green dresses. They were flowy, comfortable, and affordable for everyone. Clara hated them. She said the color made her look sick, and the fabric was cheap. She demanded I pick something else, something with more style. When I stood my ground, she went silent. Cold, angry, silent. That was 2 weeks ago. I kept texting her, trying to smooth things over, telling her how much I needed her. And then yesterday came the Tacky text. And now this Venmo request. $580.42. It was such a specific number. What could it possibly be? I scrolled through our old texts, my hands shaking with a new kind of energy. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was rage. A cold, clear rage that burned away all the tears. Found it. A few weeks ago, she had sent me a link to a designer clutch, a tiny, glittery bag. All the bridesmaids need this for the reception, she had texted. I told her it was way too expensive and not in the budget. She must have bought it anyway. I sat there on my couch, the Venmo request glowing on my screen. Ben was pacing the living room, yelling about how he was going to call her, to give her a piece of his mind. But I held up my hand, telling him to stop. I looked at the little pay button. And then I looked at the decline button. Clara thought she could just throw me away, call my life tacky, and then send me a bill for her trouble? Oh, she had no idea who she was dealing with. She had mistaken my kindness for weakness. And that was a very, very big mistake. I sat there, my whole body buzzing with a strange, cold fire. The tears were gone, dried up by this new, burning anger. Ben was still pacing, his fists clenched. I'm going to call her Mom, Joyce. This is insane. But I just slowly shook my head. No, I said, my voice quiet but harder than I'd ever heard it. Don't. This is between me and her. I looked at the Venmo request. $580.42. For her wasted time. I thought about all the times my time was wasted. All the hours I listened to her cry over a guy who wasn't worth it. All the times I helped her move. All the family dinners she came to because she was lonely. I held my breath and pressed the decline button. The screen flashed. Request declined. Felt good, but it wasn't enough. It was like putting a tiny bandage on a giant, bleeding wound. Declining was quiet. What she did was loud. She had called my life, my love, my day tacky in a text message. She had put a price tag on our entire friendship. She thought she could just send me a bill like I was a customer who was late on a payment. She had no idea. She really, truly had no idea what she had just started. A memory flashed into my mind so clear it was like watching a movie. We were in college, about 20 years old. I had failed a big art history exam. I was crying in my dorm room, thinking I would lose my scholarship. Clara had come in, tossed her designer bag on my bed and said, "Stop crying, Joy. It's tacky." There was that word again. She then spent an hour talking to my professor, flirting a little, and somehow got him to agree to let me do a huge extra credit paper. I thought she was my savior. I worshipped her for it. But now I wondered, did she save me? Or did she just like being the one who was in control? I remembered the clutch. That little shiny useless bag. I had the text message. I had the link she sent. I just knew that was the $580.42. She bought it herself, planning to be the star of the show at my tacky wedding, and now she wanted me to pay for it? The nerve of it all. It was like she was trying to punish me for not having the wedding she wanted. It wasn't about friendship. It was about her wanting to be in a fancy hotel ballroom, not a barn. It was about her wanting a designer dress, not the simple green one I loved. My phone buzzed again. My heart jumped. Was it an apology? Was it a mistake? I looked down. It was Clara. Another text. My hands were shaking again, but this time with rage, not sadness. The message was short, but it hit me like a ton of bricks. It said, "Hey, did you get my Venmo request? I need that money soon for a deposit on a trip. Figured you'd understand since you're saving so much money on that barn." She was mocking me. She was actually really mocking me. She threw away our friendship and then had the gall to joke about it. That was it. The last little bit of sadness in me just evaporated. It turned into something hard and sharp. I wasn't just a heartbroken bride anymore. I was a woman who had been pushed too far. I looked at Ben. He had stopped pacing and was just watching me. He saw the change in my face. "Joyce, what are you going to do?" he asked, his voice soft. I didn't answer right away. I was thinking. I was planning. Clara thought this was over. She thought she could just walk away with the last word and $580. Oh honey, this was just getting started. First, I had to tell the other bridesmaids. My sister Sarah and my 2 college friends Maya and Chloe. They had all been dealing with Clara's bad attitude for months. I started a group chat without Clara in it. I screenshotted the Tacky text. And then I screenshotted the Venmo request. I typed, "So, Clara is no longer my maid of honor. Or my friend. This is what she just sent me." I hit send before I could chicken out. What if they took her side? What if they thought I was being dramatic? The replies came back fast. "What?" from my sister. "That is the most insane thing I have ever seen. I am going to key her car," from Maya. "Joyce, I am so sorry. Are you okay?" From Chloe. A wave of relief washed over me. I wasn't alone in this. They saw it. They saw the crazy. They saw the cruelty. My sister immediately called me, her voice shaking with anger. "We're coming over. We're bringing wine and pizza. And we're going to make a plan, Joyce. She will not ruin your wedding." But as I hung up, a new, cold feeling hit me. My parents, my mom and dad loved Clara. She had been at our Thanksgiving table every year since she was 10. My dad called her his second daughter. How was I going to tell them? How was I going to explain that the girl they trusted, the girl they loved, had done this? It was one thing to lose a friend. It was another thing to break my parents' hearts. This betrayal wasn't just about me and her. It was a bomb that was taking out my whole family. Then, I remembered something. Something Clara told me a long time ago. A secret she had made me swear I would take to the grave. It was about her dad, the one who left, the one she always told people was a successful investor living in Europe. I remembered the real story. The true story. And I remembered something else. Something about her perfect job at that fancy marketing firm. Something she told me after too many drinks one night. A little shortcut she had taken to get her promotion. My hand went to my phone. I knew exactly what to do. This wasn't just about declining a Venmo request. This was about justice. My mind was spinning, filled with dark, forgotten things. Ben was watching me, his face tight with worry. "Joyce, what are you thinking? You look scary." I just shook my head, my voice quiet. "I'm thinking about justice, Ben. I was thinking about all of Clara's lies. Her whole life was a lie. She always told everyone her dad was a big, successful banker in Paris. But I knew the truth. I was the only one who knew. Her dad wasn't in Paris. He was a janitor in a small town in Ohio, and she hadn't spoken to him in 10 years because she was ashamed of him. And I was thinking about her perfect job. Oh, that was the best lie of all. She got a huge promotion last year, the one she never stopped bragging about. She said she landed a giant new client all by herself. But I knew the truth. I was there the night she came home, drunk and laughing, telling me how she had stolen the entire project from a new, young intern. A quiet girl who was too scared to say anything. Clara took the girl's work, put her own name on it and got the promotion. The intern got fired a week later. I had the power to burn her entire fake, shiny life to the ground. The doorbell rang and it was like a small explosion. My sister Sarah, and my friends Maya and Chloe burst in. They didn't even say hello. They just threw 2 pizza boxes on the table and a bottle of wine. Okay, Maya said, her eyes flashing like fire. We have a plan. Step 1. We find a new maid of honor. Me. Sarah cut her off. No, me, I'm her sister. They started to argue, and for just 1 second I almost laughed. But then Chloe, who was usually so quiet, held up her phone, showing the screenshot of the Venmo request. Forget that. Step 1 is making her pay. I'm serious, Joyce, Maya said, grabbing a slice of pizza. I know where she works. We could send this screenshot to her boss. Look at the kind of person you have working for you. I shook my head, even though the idea felt good. No. Not yet. That's not the right move. That's messy. But my mind was spinning. Or boss. The stolen project. The intern. It was all clicking into place, forming a dark, ugly picture. But before I did anything, I had to do the hardest part. I had to tell my mom. My hands were shaking as I picked up my phone. This was going to hurt more than anything Clara did. Put the phone on speaker. Hi, Mom. Her voice was so happy. Joy. Honey. How's my bride? Are you getting excited? Only 3 weeks left. I took a deep, shaky breath. Mom. Clara dropped out of the wedding. The line went completely silent. What? What do you mean, dropped out? I explained everything. The Tacky text. The $580 Venmo request for her wasted time. I waited for her to explode to say, I'm coming over. But she didn't. Oh, Joyce, she said, and her voice was full of worry. That doesn't sound like Clara at all. Are you sure you didn't? I don't know. Upset her? You've been so stressed lately. I could not believe my ears. My own mother. Upset her. Mom, she sent me a bill. My sister Sarah grabbed the phone from me. Mom. Joyce is telling the truth. Clara is a monster. She called the wedding tacky. But my mom just sighed like we were the problem. Sarah, don't be dramatic. Joyce, honey, just give it a few days. She'll cool down. You know how she gets. She loves you. Please, don't throw away a 20-year friendship over a silly fight. I took the phone and hung up. I didn't say goodbye. My own mother. She didn't believe me. She took Clara's side. Maya slammed her hand on the pizza box. That's it. We are done being nice. We are done being the good guys. She looked at me, her eyes dead serious. Joyce, what is the plan? And don't you dare tell me, do nothing. We are way past, do nothing. I looked at the 3 of them, these amazing women who were here for me, no questions asked. My real friends. My real sisters. And then I looked at the Venmo request again. $580.42. And I thought about Clara's last, mocking text. I need that money soon for a deposit on a trip. Trip. I knew exactly what trip she was talking about. It all hit me at once. She had been talking about it for weeks. A girl's trip to Miami. But I knew something she didn't know I knew. I knew who she was really going with. Her actual boyfriend, Mark, a sweet, kind man who adored her, had called me just last week. He was confused. He wanted to help me plan a surprise for Clara for the wedding, but she had been so distant and was always working late. She wasn't going on a girls' trip. She was going to Miami with her married boss. The same boss who gave her the promotion. The same boss whose project she stole from that intern. My blood turned to ice. It all made perfect, horrible sense. The $580.42 for the designer clutch. She wasn't buying it for my wedding. She was buying it for her secret, fancy trip with her boss. And she was trying to get me, the friend she just betrayed, to pay for it. The audacity. The sheer, unbelievable nerve. She was cheating on Mark, and she was using my wedding as an excuse to get money for her affair. My sadness was gone. My anger was gone. All that was left was a cold, calm, and very clear plan. Picked up my phone. My friends all leaned in watching me. What are you doing? Are you going to text her? Chloe asked. I didn't open my texts. I didn't open Venmo. I opened my email. Clara wanted a bill. Fine. I'll send a bill. But not for $580. I wasn't writing to Clara. I pulled up a new email. My fingers flew across the screen. To mark.p.jenkins@gmail.com. Ben's eyes went wide. Joyce, stop. Are you sure? I just smiled. Cold, thin smile. She wanted me to pay for her trip. Is it? I think I'll just make sure it gets cancelled. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Ben grabbed my arm, his face pale. Joyce, please just sleep on it. This is revenge. This isn't you. I gently pulled my arm away. It is me now, Ben. She made me this person. She hurt me, she insulted our life. And now she's cheating on a good man to do it. She doesn't get to be happy. My sister Sarah nodded, her face hard as stone. Do it, Joyce. He deserves to know. I looked at the line mark.p.jenkins@gmail.com. I took a deep breath and started to type. It wasn't a long email. I didn't yell. I didn't call her names. I just told the truth, cold and simple. Dear Mark, I wrote. I don't know any easy way to say this. I was Clara's maid of honor. I'm not anymore. She dropped out of my wedding, calling it tacky. Then she sent me a bill for $580.42. I've attached it. I attached the screenshot of the Venmo request. I attached the tacky text. And then I attached her final mocking text. I need that money soon for a deposit on a trip. I finished the email with one terrible sentence. She told me this was a girls' trip. But I know you and I haven't spoken in a week. And she's been working late a lot. I'm so sorry, Mark. But you deserve to know what she's really using that money for. I hit send. The room was silent. You could hear a pin drop. We all just stared at the screen. My heart was pounding. What had I just done? Had I gone too far? It felt like I had just pushed a giant red button, the kind you're never supposed to touch. My friends just stared at me. Maya was the first to speak. Wow. Just, wow, Joyce. Chloe looked a little sick. She's going to find out you did that, Joyce. She's going to come after you. I just shook my head. Let her. What else can she do to me? She already threw away 20 years. She already called my life trash. What's left? Ben didn't say anything. He just walked into the kitchen, his shoulders slumped. I knew he was disappointed, but I felt a strange, cold calm. It was done. We didn't have to wait long. Not even 5 minutes later, my computer pinged. New email. From Mark. My stomach did a sick flip-flop. Clicked it open. His reply was just a few lines, but they were the saddest words I had ever read. Thank you, Joyce. Had no idea. None of it. I can't believe this. Working late. She's been working late for months. Feel so stupid. I just bought her a new laptop for her work. My heart broke for him. He was a good guy. He was gentle and kind, and he had treated Clara like a queen. But then his next line made my blood run cold. This whole time, I was helping her pay off her dad's medical bills. She told me he was sick. Really sick in Ohio. She said she was so ashamed to ask for help. My jaw dropped. Her dad. The janitor in Ohio. The one she hadn't spoken to in 10 years. She wasn't just lying to her friends about him being a rich banker. She was lying to her boyfriend, taking his money, and pretending her father was sick. This was a whole new level of evil. This was darker than I ever imagined. My phone rang, making me jump. It was my mom. I sighed and picked it up. Mom, I can't talk right now. Her voice was high and stressed. Joyce, I just got off the phone with Clara's mother. You need to call Clara and apologize right now. Her mother said Clara is heartbroken, that you completely misunderstood her. She said that Venmo request was a joke, Joyce. Joke. And you took it seriously. You are ruining everything. I felt like I was in a crazy house. Mom, it wasn't a joke. She's not a good person. My mom cut me off. Joyce Thomas, you call that girl. You fix this. Family friends are forever. And she hung up on me. I was shaking with rage. My own mother. I looked at my friends, my eyes wild. She thinks it was a joke. She's taking Clara's side. Maya stood up. Okay. That's it. Forget her boss. Forget Mark. We need to go bigger. We need to tell everyone. But I had a better idea. Quieter, sharper idea. I remembered the intern. The girl whose life Clara ruined to get that promotion. I grabbed my laptop. I need to find someone, I said, my voice low. I went to Clara's company page, scrolling through old social media posts. And there, in a group photo from 2 years ago, I found her. A sweet-faced girl with glasses. Her name tag said Emily Carter. I found Emily Carter on LinkedIn. She wasn't at the marketing firm anymore. She was working at a small coffee shop as a barista. Clara hadn't just gotten her fired. She had destroyed her whole career. I felt a wave of sickness. This was all my fault. I knew what Clara did, and I never said anything. Kept her secret. I was just as bad. I opened up my email again. Dear Emily, I wrote. You don't know me. My name is Joyce. I used to be friends with Clara Jenkins. I know what she did to you 2 years ago with the Patterson account. And I have proof. My phone buzzed on the table. Text. From Clara. I looked at it, my heart pounding like a drum. Why did you decline my request? I need that money, Joyce. Don't be a child. Just send it. She was unbelievable. She was still pushing. After everything. After lying to Mark, after betraying me, she still wanted the money. I was about to type back to tell her exactly what I thought of her, to tell her I knew about Mark and her dad and Emily. But just as my fingers hit the screen, a new email popped up. I didn't recognize the name. But I recognized the company. It was from Clara's boss. The married one. The subject line was just one word. Clara. My heart stopped. Clara. The subject line was just her name. But the email wasn't from her. It was from David Harrison. Her boss. The married one. My friends all leaned in so close I could feel their breath on my neck. Clicked it. The email was short and it was terrifying. Ms. Thomas, I have been informed that you are spreading malicious and false rumors about me and my employee Clara Jenkins. This is your one and only warning. Cease and desist all communication or my lawyers will be in touch. You do not want to see what happens next. Threat. A real legal threat from a rich, powerful man. My blood turned to ice. How did he even get my email? Clara. She must have run to him, crying, twisting the whole story. She must have painted me as a crazy, jealous friend who was making it all up. Ben grabbed the laptop from me. His face red with anger. That's it. We're calling the police. This is harassment. He can't threaten you, Joyce. This was so much bigger than a bridesmaid dress. This was real life. This was dangerous. But Maya, my tough, smart friend, shook her head. No, the police won't do anything. Just words. He's trying to scare us. He's protecting himself. Chloe was pale, her voice shaking. Joyce, maybe she's right. Maybe we should just stop. This is getting too big. He's a powerful man. He has lawyers. This is scary. Was she right? Was I in over my head? For a second I just wanted to hide. I wanted to be back in my art room painting where everything was simple and made sense. Just as I was about to close the laptop to just give up, another email popped up. The name. Emily Carter. The intern. My breath caught in my throat. I had almost forgotten. I opened it so fast my finger slipped on the mouse. Her message was short, and I could feel the fear in her words. I don't know how you found me. I've tried to forget all of this. What proof do you have? Please, if you are playing a game, just leave me alone. I can't go through this again. She thought I was cruel like Clara. My friends looked at me. What proof? Ben asked. I took a deep, steady breath. This. Open my phone. I went to my text. I scrolled back and back and back. Almost 2 years. My fingers were shaking, but I found it. A text message from Clara, sent late at night, right after she got her big promotion. She had been bragging. Just got the promotion. I used that intern's stupid idea just like I said. She's such a baby, she'll never say anything. Ugh. Drinks on me. I had kept it. I don't even know why. Maybe deep down I always knew who she was. Joyce. That's a bomb, Sarah whispered, her eyes wide. That's not just proof she stole it. That's proof she planned to steal it. She wrote it all down. I looked at Emily's email. This poor girl. Clara didn't just get her fired. She broke her spirit, making her work as a barista. This was my chance to fix it. To fix the secret I had kept for 2 years. I hit reply and attached the screenshot. Dear Emily, I wrote. I am not playing a game. Here is the proof. She bragged about it. You deserve justice. Do what you want with this. I hit send. Felt different from the email to Mark. That one was angry. This one felt right. It felt like I was finally cleaning up a mess I had helped make by being silent for so long. We all just sat there, the pizza cold on the table. It was like we were in the eye of a hurricane. We had sent out 2 bombs, one to Mark and one to Emily. Now we just had to wait for them to explode. We were all holding our breath, wondering what would happen next. The silence was broken by my phone ringing, loud and sudden in the quiet room. It wasn't a text. It wasn't an email. It was a call. The name on the screen made my stomach drop to my feet. Clara Jenkins. She was calling me. I looked at my friends, my eyes wide with panic. Don't answer it, Chloe said. Answer it. Put it on speaker. Maya yelled. My hand was shaking so badly. This was it. I pressed the green button. Press speaker. Before I could even say hello, a scream blasted from the phone. It was Clara. You! She shrieked, and her voice was ugly like an animal, not human. You ruined my life. You called Mark. He dumped me. He called me a liar. He said you sent him the Venmo request. She was sobbing and screaming at the same time. And my boss. He's going to fire me. What did you do, Joyce? What did you do to me? I'm going to sue you. I'm going to destroy you. I held the phone, and a strange calm washed over me. Her screaming didn't even scare me anymore. Just made me tired. I waited for her to finally take a breath. I didn't do anything, Clara, I said, my voice cold and clear. You did this. You lied about your dad. You cheated on Mark. You stole from Emily. You called my wedding tacky. You sent me a bill. There was a long, cold silence on the other end. And then her voice dropped, low and full of poison. You think you're so perfect, don't you? You think you know everything. You want to talk about lies, Joyce. Ask your mother about the real reason she's so close to my family. Ask her about the money. And she hung up. The phone went dead. The click echoed in the silent room. Ask her about the money. Clara's words hung in the air, thick and poisonous like a bad smell. My friends just stared at me. Ben's face was white. What money? What did she mean by that? Sarah, my sister, just shook her head, looking confused. She's just trying to hurt you, Joyce. She's making things up. She's desperate. But I wasn't so sure. I felt a new, cold dread, completely different from the anger. It was a deep, sinking feeling in my stomach. I remembered my mom's voice on the phone. Clara is heartbroken. It was a joke, Joyce. Family friends are forever. Why? Why would my own mother take the side of the person who called my wedding tacky? Why would she beg me to apologize? It wasn't just about keeping the peace. Felt like fear. Was my mom afraid of Clara? Or afraid of Clara's family? The money. What money? A dark, ugly thought started to form in my mind. A thought so terrible I pushed it away. I have to call her, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I wasn't talking about Clara. I was talking about my mom. My friends all looked at me, their faces full of worry. Joyce, maybe you should wait, Ben said, putting his hand on my shoulder. You're upset. This is what Clara wants. She wants to cause more drama. But I couldn't wait. I needed to know. I pulled my phone back, my hands shaking so hard I almost dropped it. I dialed my parents' number. Felt like I was calling a stranger. My mom picked up on the first ring like she was waiting. Joyce, honey, did you fix things with Clara? Her voice was hopeful and it made me feel sick. Mom, I said, my voice hard and cold. What money? There was a long, terrible silence on the other end. I could hear her breathing, quick and shaky. What are you talking about, Joyce? What money? She was lying. Could hear it. Her voice was too high, too fake. Clara told me to ask you. She said, ask your mother about the money. So I'm asking, what money, Mom? She's a liar, my mom suddenly yelled, her voice breaking. She's a cruel, terrible girl, and she's just trying to hurt you by hurting me. How could you believe her over your own mother? She was crying now, but it didn't feel real. Felt like a performance. Then tell me she's lying. I pushed, my own tears starting to well up. Tell me there's no money, Mom. Look me in the eye. Even over the phone. And tell me it's not true. She didn't answer. All I could hear was her sobbing, and it was the ugliest sound in the world. Then I heard my dad's voice in the background, low and worried. Ellen, what's wrong? Who's on the phone? He took the phone from her. Joyce, what did you say to your mother? My dad. My good, honest, simple dad. He would tell me the truth. Dad, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Clara said there's money. That you and Mom. That we owe her family money. Is it true? I held my breath. My entire life, my entire childhood, felt like it was hanging on his answer. The silence on his end was even worse than my mom's. It was heavy. It was full of shame. Oh, Joyce, he finally sighed, and his voice sounded 100 years old. It was a long time ago. Before you were even in high school. I lost my job at the plant. We were behind on the mortgage. We were going to lose the house. I couldn't breathe. Lose the house. Our house. The one I grew up in. The one with the marks on the doorframe showing how tall I grew each year. A memory hit me so fast and clear it made me dizzy. I was maybe 10 years old. My parents were fighting. They were always whispering and crying at the kitchen table. Stacks of brown envelopes everywhere. I was so scared. Then one day it just stopped. My dad was whistling again. My mom was baking. And Clara's mom, who used to just be a lady from down the street, started coming over every single day. They were suddenly best friends. They said it was because me and Clara were so close. But it wasn't. You borrowed money, I whispered, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. You borrowed money from Clara's parents to save our house. This was it. This was the secret. This was the chain around my mother's neck. This is why she told me to apologize, why she defended Clara. We weren't friends. We were in debt. My friendship with Clara wasn't real. It was a payment. It was interest. My whole life, my sister, was a lie. I felt like I was going to throw up. Ben was rubbing my back and Sarah was holding my hand. How much, Dad? I asked, my voice flat and dead. How much do we owe them? My dad was quiet for a long time. I heard my mom crying in the background. Don't tell her, Frank. Please. But my dad's voice was heavy. That's the problem, Joyce. It wasn't a normal loan. It was no paper. It was an agreement. A family agreement. And your mother. Your mother is the only one who knows the real terms. My blood ran cold. What terms? Dad, what were the terms? Dad, what were the terms? I said again, my voice sounding sharp and strange, even to my own ears. I heard my mom wail in the background. Don't, Frank. Don't you dare. But my dad sounded defeated. He sounded like a balloon that had lost all its air. It wasn't. It wasn't a piece of paper, Joyce. It was a promise. Her mother, Alice. She was very particular. I could feel Ben, Sarah, and Maya all leaning in, holding their breath right along with me. The world had shrunk down to just the voice on my phone. Particular how Dad pushed. Felt cold all over. She saw you, my dad stammered. She saw you and Clara playing. She always said Clara was difficult, that she had a hard time making friends. She said you were a good girl, Joyce. You were kind and stable and normal. My stomach twisted. Normal. What did that mean? Where was this going? I felt a dark, cold shadow fall over my entire childhood. All those afternoons I had to spend at Clara's house, even when I wanted to be somewhere else. My mother grabbed the phone. Her voice wasn't sad anymore. It was hard like a rock. You stop this, Joyce. You stop digging. This has nothing to do with you. This is family business, and you are going to ruin everything. I almost laughed, but it came out like a sob. Nothing to do with me. Mom, you made me your human payment. My entire friendship, my whole life, was a lie you and Dad bought to save a house. Did you ever even care if I was happy? Or was I just the price? It wasn't like that, she shrieked. You don't understand. We were desperate. We were going to be on the street. On the street, Joyce. With you and Sarah. What were we supposed to do? Her voice was full of anger, as if I was the one who had done something wrong. As if I was the one who had lied for 20 years. You were supposed to be my mother, I whispered. You sold my friendship. You made me be friends with a bully. For money. There was a horrible choking sound. It was my mom breaking. Yes, she finally cried out, the word tearing out of her. Yes, I did. But it was a good deal. She got a best friend and you got to keep your home. We all got what we wanted. Felt sick. My friends' faces were a blur of shock. Ben looked like he was going to punch a wall. So, what was the final payment, Mom? Asked, my voice as cold as ice. When was this family agreement over? When were we finally free? I could almost hear her shake her head. It wasn't about money, not really, not at the end. Alice, Clara's mom. She was obsessed. She wanted Clara to have the perfect life. The perfect job, the perfect friends. And the perfect place of honor. I didn't understand. What place of honor? What are you talking about? I looked at Ben, my heart starting to pound a new, terrible rhythm. I was a bride. A wedding. A maid of honor. No. Please no. She always talked about it, my mom whispered, her voice cracking. Ever since you girls were little. She would say, one day Joyce will get married. And Clara will be her maid of honor. And that will be the day our families are truly joined. That will be the day all our kindness is repaid. I dropped the phone. It clattered to the floor, but I could still hear my mom's voice coming out of the tiny speaker, thin and far away. Ben picked it up, his face grim. Ellen, he said, his voice hard. What does that mean? I couldn't hear her answer, but I didn't need to. He knew. I finally understood everything. A loan. The money we were going to lose the house over. It wasn't a loan you paid back with dollars. You paid it back with me. With my life. My friendship was the interest. But the final payment, the thing that would wipe the slate clean and make them even, was me making Clara my maid of honor. All those years, my mom wasn't just pushing me to be friends with Clara. She was grooming me for this. I backed away, stumbling into the couch. My wedding. My Tacky wedding. It wasn't just a party. It was my family's get-out-of-jail-free card. And Clara, by dropping out, hadn't just insulted me. She had just pulled the pin on a 20-year-old grenade. My mom wasn't worried about my feelings. She was terrified about the money. She was terrified of what would happen now that the final payment was cancelled. My whole body went numb. Ben hung up the phone. He just looked at me, his eyes full of a pain that matched my own. Joyce, your dad said. The agreement was that if you didn't make Clara your maid of honor, or if she refused, the entire original loan plus 20 years of interest would be due. Immediately, my knees buckled. How much? I whispered. How much is it? Ben wouldn't look at me. He said, with interest. He thinks it's over $200,000. My ears were ringing. $200,000. My parents' retirement. Their entire life. Because Clara wanted to go to Miami. $200,000. The words just hung in the air, heavy and sick. It felt like all the oxygen had been sucked out of the room. I couldn't breathe. My legs gave out and I sat down hard on the floor. $200,000. That was everything. That was my parents' retirement. That was their house. The house I grew up in. The home they had worked their whole lives for. All of it could be gone, just gone. Because I didn't want a tacky wedding. Well, because Clara called my wedding tacky. Oh my God, Sarah whispered, her face as white as a sheet. She slid down to the floor next to me. They never told me. All these years. They never told me. Ben was pacing again, but this time it wasn't with anger. It was with a kind of wild, trapped energy. This is not right, he kept saying. This is not legal. Promise. A family agreement. That's not a real loan. They can't do that. But I knew he was wrong. I knew deep down that a rich, powerful family like Clara's, they could do anything. Finally understood. I understood my mother's panic. I understood her screaming at me to apologize. I understood why she took Clara's side. She wasn't protecting a friendship. She was protecting her home. She was staring down the barrel of a gun, and I was the one with my finger on the trigger. My friendship with Clara was never a friendship. It was a job. It was a life sentence. And I had just broken the terms of my parole. All those years I thought I was a good friend. I was just a bodyguard, babysitter, an investment. My mind flashed back to every time Clara was cruel. Every time she made a mean comment or forgot her wallet or threw a fit. And every time my mom would be there, whispering in my ear. Be nice, Joyce. She's sensitive. Just let her have it, honey, it's not a big deal. You're the bigger person, Joy. I wasn't the bigger person. I was the poorer person. I was the one whose family was hanging by a thread that Clara's mother, Alice, held in her hand. And Clara. Did Clara know? Did she know she had this power over me? And then the most terrible thought of all hit me. The Venmo request. The tacky text. The fight over the dress. Was this all a plan? Did she want to drop out? Was this a trap? Was this Alice's way of finally, after 20 years, cashing in? Maybe the wedding wasn't tacky enough for Clara, but maybe the money. Maybe $200,000 was just what she and her mom wanted. Maybe they were tired of the family agreement and just wanted the cold, hard cash. My whole body felt like it was on fire with this new, terrible idea. As if I had summoned her, my phone rang. I looked at the screen. Unknown number. My heart stopped. It wasn't my parents. It wasn't Clara. It was someone I didn't know. Or someone I did. Don't answer it, Ben said, his voice tight. Joyce, don't. But I had to. Had to know. I slowly picked up the phone. I pressed the speaker button. Hello. My voice was a tiny, shaky whisper. A voice answered, and it was not screaming. It was not crying. It was smooth and calm and cold as winter. Joyce, dear. This is Alice Jenkins. Clara's mother. I had not spoken to her in months. I hear, she said, her voice like fake sweet syrup, that there has been a misunderstanding about your wedding. Clara is just so terribly hurt. You've really done a number on her, dear. It's a shame. I couldn't speak. I just listened, my blood turning to ice. You spread terrible false stories, Alice continued, her voice getting a little harder. You got her dumped by that nice young man, Mark. You almost got her fired from her wonderful job. You have been a very, very bad friend, Joyce. She paused, and I could almost hear her smiling. But I'm a forgiving person. I've always liked your mother. So I'm going to give you a chance to fix this. To make it all right again. My friends were all staring at the phone, their eyes wide with fear. I finally found my voice. What do you want? I whispered. It's simple, dear, Alice said, her voice bright and cheerful, as if she were planning a party. First, you will cancel this ugly barn wedding. It's just not good enough for my Clara. I felt Ben flinch next to me. Second, you will let me plan a new, proper wedding for you. At the country club. My treat, of course. We have to do this right. And my Clara will be your maid of honor. Just as we always planned. It was a nightmare. She was going to take over my wedding, my life. Just like she had taken over my childhood. And third, Alice continued, you will write a public apology on your Facebook, to Clara and to her boss, Mr. Harrison, for the misunderstanding. You will clear their names. I was shaking my head, silent tears rolling down my face. This was impossible. She was asking me to sell my soul. Or, Alice said, her voice suddenly losing all its fake sweetness. You can just pay the debt. The original loan plus interest. Let's call it $250,000. Just to be safe. Your parents' house is so lovely. I've always admired it. I'll need the check by Monday. The line went dead. Alice Jenkins had hung up, leaving her words hanging in the room like poison gas. Monday. That was the deadline. I had to choose. Sell my soul or destroy my parents. I looked at Ben. His face was pale, his jaw was tight, and his eyes. His eyes were full of a fire I had never seen before. We are not doing it, Joyce, he said, his voice low and dangerous. We are not letting that woman. That witch. Win. I will not marry you at her country club. I will not let you apologize. But my parents. I sobbed, the tears finally breaking free. Ben, $250,000. It's their home. It's everything. I can't let them be homeless because of me. I have to do it. I have to say yes. I was already seeing it, a horrible flash of a future I didn't want. Me in a stiff, ugly dress I hated, in a cold, fancy room, with Clara standing next to me, smiling her fake, poisonous smile. It was a prison. It was a life sentence. It was the end of me. No. Sarah, my sister, stood up, her whole body shaking. No, Joyce. I will not let you do this. I'll get a loan. I'll sell my car. We'll all chip in. We will not let those monsters bully our family. But we all knew it was impossible. $250,000. It might as well have been $1 billion. It was a number designed to be impossible. It was a checkmate. They had won. I was trapped. I put my face in my hands, the sobs shaking my whole body. Wait. Maya's voice cut through the room, sharp as a knife. Ben's right. This isn't a legal loan. This is blackmail. This is... What's that word? Extortion. They are trying to extort us. She grabbed my laptop. What if we don't do either? What if we don't say yes and we don't pay? I looked up, my face wet with tears. But... the agreement. My mom. Maya shook her head. A family agreement. A promise. That is not a contract. They have no paper, Joyce. Your dad said so. They have nothing. It's just a threat. A tiny, tiny spark of hope lit up in my chest. Was she right? Could it be that simple? But Alice's voice. She sounded so sure, so powerful. A rich woman like that. She wouldn't make a threat she couldn't keep, would she? She'll have lawyers, Maya, I whispered. She'll lie. She'll say it was a real loan. My parents. They'll be ruined just fighting her. The hope died as fast as it came. It was still impossible. We were a family of teachers and mechanics. They were a family of monsters. Just as I was about to give up, just as I was about to pick up the phone and surrender, my laptop pinged. New email. We all froze. Who is it? Ben asked, his voice tight. I looked at the screen. My breath caught in my throat. It was from Emily Carter, the intern. Opened it. The email wasn't long, but every word was a hammer blow. Joyce, it started. I don't know who you are, but you just changed my life. After I got your text, I did something. I didn't just call a lawyer. I called a reporter. My heart stopped. Reporter. His name is Daniel Klein, the email went on. He's at the New York Post. And he's been investigating Clara's boss, David Harrison, 4 months for workplace abuse. Your text message. He said it was this smoking gun he needed. He's running the story. Tomorrow. This was huge. This was bigger than my wedding. This was a bomb. Clara wasn't just going to be fired. She was going to be on the front page. Oh my God, Chloe whispered, her hands over her mouth. Alice Jenkins. A rich high society woman like that. She is going to hate this. Her precious Clara, all over the news for being a thief. A new feeling was spreading through me. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't fear. It was fire. The scales were tipping. Maybe they weren't as powerful as they thought. Maybe, just maybe, we had some power now. Before I could even reply to Emily, my phone buzzed in my hand. A new text message. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would break. It was from Mark, Clara's ex-boyfriend. My hands were shaking as I opened it. Joyce. I couldn't sleep. I've been digging. I'm in finance. I have resources. I looked up Alice Jenkins. My blood ran cold. What had he found? She's not just rich, Joyce, the text read. She's in trouble. Deep trouble. Her husband's company. The one she inherited. It's been under investigation by the SEC for months. For fraud. They've been hiding money, moving it around. They are about to lose everything. I read the words out loud. The room was so quiet you could hear my voice shake. Sarah gasped. Fraud. You mean? They're criminals. And then the last text from Mark came through. The one that changed everything. The one that turned the whole world upside down. That $250,000, Joyce. It's not just blackmail. It's not just revenge. I'd bet my entire career. They need it. They're not powerful. They're broke. They're desperate. I looked up from the phone. I looked at Ben. I looked at my sister. The tears were gone. My fear was gone. All that was left was a cold, sharp, and beautiful rage. They're broke, I said, a slow, dangerous smile spreading across my face. They need us. The clock isn't ticking for me. It's ticking for them. My whole body went still. They're broke. I said the words out loud, and the sound of them changed the air in the room. The fear that had been choking me, that cold, heavy rock in my stomach, it just dissolved. It evaporated. I wasn't a victim anymore. I wasn't a pawn in their sick 20-year-old game. I wasn't the payment for my parents' house. It was just me. And I was angry. But it was a new kind of anger. It was cold and it was sharp and it was clear. I knew exactly what to do. Ben looked at me, a slow smile spreading across his face. Joyce, he whispered. You look amazing. I stood up from the floor. Felt taller. Felt stronger. Maya, I said, my voice not shaking at all. You were right. This is blackmail. And you know what you do with blackmailers. You don't pay them. You don't give in to them. You break them. Sarah was staring at me, her eyes wide. What are we going to do? Picked up my phone. Alice Jenkins gave me a choice. Sell my soul or lose my family's home. She thought those were the only two answers. She was wrong. There's a third answer. It's no. I didn't call Alice. Not yet. Called my dad. He answered on the first ring, his voice sounding broken. Joyce, honey, your mother. She's We're so sorry. I cut him off, but gently. Dad, I know everything. And it's okay. You did what you had to do to protect us. But now, it's my turn to protect you. I need you to listen to me. Do not talk to Alice Jenkins. Do not answer her calls. Do not offer her a single penny. Do you understand me? She has no power. She has no contract. She has nothing. There was a long silence. But Joyce, the debt, the house. I took a deep breath. Dad, she's lying. Her family is broke. They're being investigated for fraud. They're the ones who are desperate. They need that money from us. They're not powerful. They're just bullies. And we are done being bullied. I heard my dad take a shaky breath. And then I heard him say two words I had been waiting my whole life to hear. Okay, Joyce. We trust you. He finally saw me. Now it was time. I looked at the unknown number. Alice Jenkins. I called her back. She picked up immediately. Well, Joyce. I'm so glad you've come to your senses. Have you decided on the country club, or should I expect a check? Her voice was so smug, so sure she had won. I just smiled. Actually, Alice, I said, my voice as calm and sweet as honey. I'm calling to give you a choice. There was a sudden, sharp silence on her end. What did you say? I know about the SEC, Alice, I said. I know about the fraud investigation. I know you're broke. You're not getting $250,000. You're not getting $1. The sound she made. It was like a kettle boiling. A high, thin shriek of rage. You little brat. You're lying. I'll ruin you. I'll ruin your parents. I just kept going, my voice never changing. And I know about the New York Post. The story about Clara stealing from an intern and having an affair with her married boss. It runs tomorrow. You see, Alice, you're trying to blackmail me. But I'm the one holding all the cards. I could hear her breathing, fast and panicked. She was trapped. She knew it. So here's my offer, I said. You're going to have your lawyer write one simple document. It will say that any and all family agreements or debts between our families are over, finished, and paid in full, which is $0. You will sign it and you will give it to my father. In exchange, I paused. I won't tell that reporter from the Post about how you tried to blackmail me for $250,000. Do we have a deal, Alice? She didn't say anything. She just made a sick, choking sound. And then she hung up. The next morning, two things happened. The New York Post story went live. It was everywhere. Rich girls, perfect life a lie. Fraud, theft, and a stolen career. Clara's smiling, smug picture was right there, for the whole world to see. It was brutal. And it was true. At the exact same time, a scared-looking man in a suit knocked on my parents' door. He handed my dad a single signed piece of paper. The debt was gone. Just like that. We were free. We had our wedding. 3 weeks later in the barn. My Tacky barn. It was covered in string lights, and it looked like a fairy tale. All our real friends were there. Maya and Sarah were my maids of honor, both of them in their beautiful sage green dresses. My mom and dad were there. My mom held my hand before I walked out, her eyes full of tears. Joyce, she whispered. I am so sorry. I was so scared. I forgot how strong you are. I will never, ever be sorry for having you as my daughter. I walked down that aisle on my dad's arm. He was crying so hard he could barely walk. And at the end, Ben was waiting for me. He was crying too. As I said my vows, I looked at his face. I saw my whole real, honest future. Clara tried to send me a bill for $580.42 for her wasted time. In the end, her hate, her greed, and her lies cost her everything. Her job, her reputation, her family's stolen money. She sent me a bill, but she was the one who paid the price. If you are still here, if you watch this whole story, thank you. Thank you for listening. If you have ever felt small or broken or like someone was trying to put a price tag on you, please know that you are stronger than you think. You are not alone. My story is for you. Please, if this story touched your heart, if it gave you even a little bit of hope, do me a huge favor. Please hit that like button. Tells me that I did the right thing by sharing this. And share this video with anyone you know who needs to be reminded of their own strength. And most of all, please subscribe to this channel. Your support means more than I can ever say. Means we're a family, and you are all invited to the rest of my life.